Welcome into Path to the Playoffs. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith. This is where we always tell you what it takes for the Buccaneers to get into the playoffs, and it's when they're in. The end. Enjoy your rest of your day. That was really it. Yeah, that's basically it at this point. Now I know it is a little bit more complicated than that potentially, depending on what goes on Sunday. So first of all, let's just talk about where it stands as of now. If things were to be happening at this moment, what would it mean?
Well, we're going to show the standings here of the NFC, and it looks a lot like it did last week and the week before that. The Buccaneers remain in the 4th seed because they're still in first place in the NFC South. There is the tiniest percentage of possibilities that the Bucs could get in as a wild card, but it's really far-fetched, so don't worry about that. Like you said, the Buccaneers, if they win this week, they win the division and they're the 4th seed. And if it stays this way, which there's a good chance it will, they would get a first-round visit from the Dallas Cowboys, who they beat in week 1. Philadelphia has not yet clinched. They've clinched a playoff spot, but they've not yet clinched their division because they lost to Dallas this past week. So they have 2 more chances. They just have to win once starting this week against New Orleans, so the Buccaneers would like them to win that one. Minnesota had another miracle comeback win, and they remained in 2nd. San Francisco remains red hot. They're in 3rd. And the wild card standings haven't changed since last week. I think the most notable thing here is Dallas has already clinched a spot, and the Giants just need 1 more win to clinch a spot. There's a little more intrigue on that 7th spot.
Interesting. So again, we said the Bucs win this Sunday. They're in, they win the NFC South, and that is, of course, what we would all like to happen, make it a lot easier, and then you can probably rest people in the last week. It's just so many reasons to just go ahead and do that this Sunday. But on the off chance that doesn't happen, what are the scenarios for if the Bucs lose on Sunday, what it would happen?
Right. Well, the biggest thing you lose if you don't win this game is you lose control, because then Carolina will be tied with the Buccaneers, and they just need to remain tied with the Buccaneers at the end because they would have a tiebreaker advantage with the 2 head-to-head wins in that scenario. So if the Buccaneers win, they're in. We said that. It doesn't matter what happens in the next game. If Carolina wins, the Bucs can still win the division by beating Atlanta in Atlanta and having the Panthers lose in New Orleans. So it's not that far-fetched, but if you look at playoff odds on many of these sites that have them, the Buccaneers are considered 70% chance to make the playoffs if they win. Or actually, it would be 100%. It's 70 right now, and they would drop to 28% if they lose that game. So the problem is you're giving up control, and it doesn't matter what you do in Week 18 if Carolina wins. Now, there's still a chance for the Saints to win, which is good because that means they're still invested, and if the Bucs need them to win in Week 18, they'll have reason to try to do so. So if Carolina were to beat the Buccaneers, as you can see here, the second to last line, if Carolina were to beat the Buccaneers, and then they would also need to beat Philadelphia this week, and then, I mean, New Orleans would need to beat Philadelphia. I'm getting confused by my own graphic here. And then New Orleans beats Carolina in the final week, and Atlanta beats Tampa Bay. The Saints would actually come out of nowhere to win the division. But if New Orleans doesn't win this week against Philadelphia, they can't win the division. So it's kind of weird to say this, and it contradicts what I said a moment ago, but you almost kind of hope New Orleans wins this week so they remain invested for Week 18.
That's an interesting point.
That just occurred to me.
Look at you, just look at your own graphic, teaching you things.
On the fly, yes.
Well, man, this game is going to be fun to watch for a lot of reasons, and man, if you're a Bucs fan, you better be glued to that TV or being loud in Raymond James Stadium, because as we said, win and they are in. So that is our maybe easiest path to the playoffs ever. Yeah,
and you know the other thing about that is that would make history for the Buccaneers is it would be 2 consecutive division championships, and we've never had that before. So to anyone who's like, well, who cares? They're below 500. Who cares about winning division? It's a big thing. You don't win. It's hard to win a division, and the Bucs have never done it twice in a row. So it'd be quite an accomplishment no matter what else happens.
That's awesome. All right, well, that's going to do it for us on Path to the Playoffs. We'll see you next week, hopefully talking about an even easier path to the playoffs.